The first warning came not from alarms or sensors, but from silence. The hall of luminaries aboard the royal spire of Aurelian Prime was never quiet. Even in the deepest hours of rest, it hummed with living light, energy currents flowing through crystal veins in the walls, carrying whispers of the planet's ancient consciousness. Yet on that cycle, the hum faltered, lights dimmed, guards stiffened, and halfway across the chamber, Kale Varen, the only human assigned to the royal household, felt a shift like a blade against his spine. Princess Lyris of the Thalray had been laughing only moments earlier. She was young by her species standards, barely into her second life phase, her bioluminescent markings shimmering faintly as she spoke animatedly about a new star-forming nebula she'd studied. Kale stood behind her as always, posture relaxed but awareness sharp. He had guarded diplomats, warlords, and criminals across 3 systems, but nothing in the galaxy focused his attention like the Queen's daughter. When the silence hit, Lyris stopped mid-sentence. "Kale?" she asked, her voice small in a way it rarely was. Before he could answer, the floor beneath them fractured, not physically, but spatially. Reality peeled back like fabric, revealing a rippling void. Elite palace guards reached for weapons, but the distortion expanded faster than thought. Kale moved. He grabbed Lyris, pulling her close, his other hand activating the kinetic shield embedded in his forearm. The shield flared blue just as dark figures emerged from the rift, tall, angular beings clad in void steel armor marked with the sigil of the Car Dominion. Raiders, slavers, fanatics. Blaster fire tore through the hall. Crystals shattered. Guards fell. Kale fired back with disciplined precision, every shot calculated to disable or kill. But there were too many, and they weren't there for him. They were there for her. A gravity snare detonated at their feet. Kale felt his body slam into the floor as invisible force crushed him down. He roared, fighting it with augmented strength, but a second snare locked onto Lyris. "No," he shouted. She reached for him, eyes wide with fear as the raiders dragged her toward the collapsing rift. "Kale." The void snapped shut. Silence returned, heavier than before. The palace was chaos. Queen Aurelia Thalray, ruler of Aurelian Prime and matriarch of one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy, stood motionless before the shattered remains of the hall. Her crown flickered dimly, mirroring the storm of grief and fury beneath her composed exterior. "They took her," she said softly. No one dared speak. Kale knelt several meters away, blood running from a gash above his eye, his armor scorched and cracked. He stared at the space where Lyris had vanished, jaw clenched so tightly it trembled. "This is my failure," he said. Aurelia turned toward him. For a moment, the ancient queen's gaze softened, not as a ruler, but as a mother. "You did everything you could, Guardian," she said. "The fault lies with those who dared to take her." Her tone shifted, power rippling through the chamber. "And they will answer for it." Advisors began speaking at once. Calls for council sessions, fleet mobilizations, diplomatic ultimatums. The Car Dominion was dangerous, but a full-scale war would burn half the galaxy.
Kale stood.
"Your Majesty," he said. The room quieted. "I know where they'll take her." All eyes turned to him. "The Car don't ransom royal captives," he continued. "They perform ascension trials, rituals meant to break or convert high-value targets. There's only one place they do that." He named the location. Blackreach Outpost. A dead station orbiting a collapsed star. No official charts. No laws. Aurelia's glow intensified, then steadied. "Our fleets would take days to mobilize," she said. "And even then—" "I don't need a fleet," Kale interrupted. Silence fell again. "I need a ship," he said. "And permission." Some of the advisors recoiled. Others stared in disbelief. "You would go alone?" one hissed. "Against an entire Dominion cell?" Kale met the Queen's gaze. "I was assigned to protect her," he said. "They took her on my watch. I will bring her back." Aurelia studied him for a long moment. She saw not recklessness, but resolve hardened by years of war and loyalty. "Very well," she said at last. "Go, human guardian. Bring my daughter home." Kale's ship, the Ashfall, was old even by human standards, a stealth corvette retrofitted with alien tech scavenged from a dozen battlefields. It wasn't pretty, but it was fast, quiet, and lethal. As he jumped into hyperspace, Kale reviewed everything he knew about Blackreach. The station was divided into rings: outer docks, inner markets, and the core sanctum where captives were held. He would have one chance. Dropping out of hyperspace near the collapsed star, Kale powered down all non-essential systems and drifted toward the station, cloaked in shadow. Sensors confirmed multiple car warships docked, but their defenses were lax. They didn't expect pursuit, not this fast. Kale breached the hull through an old maintenance port, cutting his way inside. The station stank of ozone, rust, and fear. He moved like a ghost, taking down sentries silently, dragging bodies into the dark. His mind was calm, focused. Every step, every breath, was for Lyris. He found evidence of her presence quickly: Thalray energy residue, faint but unmistakable. It led inward. Closer to the core, resistance increased. Kale stopped being subtle. Blaster fire echoed through the corridors as alarms finally blared. Car warriors rushed to intercept him, only to fall to precise gunfire, traps, and brutal close-quarters combat. Kale fought with a ferocity that shocked even hardened raiders. He wasn't here to survive. He was here to retrieve. At the sanctum doors, he paused. Inside, his sensors detected a single life sign matching Lyris. And something else. A ritual chamber. Kale planted explosives along the entrance and kicked the door open as they detonated. The chamber erupted in smoke and flame. At its center, bound within a lattice of energy, was Lyris. Her glow flickered weakly, her eyes unfocused, but she was alive. "Lyris!" Kale shouted. Her head lifted. Recognition sparked. "Kale," she whispered. The car ascendant overseeing the ritual turned, towering and furious. "A human," it snarled. "You dare interrupt." Kale didn't let it finish. He emptied a full power cell into the ascendant's chest, then charged, slamming into the creature with augmented force. They crashed into a pillar, trading blows that cracked stone and bone. The ascendant was strong, inhumanly so, but it was slow. Kale wasn't. With a final strike, he drove his combat blade into its core node. The creature collapsed, twitching. Kale rushed to Lyris, overriding the energy lattice with a manual bypass. The field dropped, and she fell into his arms. "I'm here," he said, voice breaking. "I've got you." She clung to him weakly. "I knew you would come," she murmured. The station began to shake. Explosions rippled outward as Kale's earlier charges detonated across key systems. They ran. Blaster fire chased them through collapsing corridors, but Kale shielded her, taking hits meant for her until they reached the breach point. The Ashfall detached just as the station's core imploded, consuming Blackreach in a storm of fire and gravity. When the Ashfall emerged from hyperspace over Aurelian Prime, the entire royal fleet was waiting.